At the start of the year, I made a little video about the 5 things that I hoped would happen in the world of Chromebooks this year. I'm going to start by having a little look back at that video, at the things I said, and see what panned out and what didn't quite. The first thing I mentioned in that video was dark mode. I said a lot of fancy words about how this was going to be the year that dark mode, not just dark mode, but a nice universal, easy to switch on dark mode would arrive on Chrome OS. Now that has not happened, and it's honestly, I don't know what to say, but it's just very disappointing. There are still a lot of dark mode things that you can go into the flags in the settings and turn on the dark mode, some dark mode features, but still really there's just nothing where you can click a button and the settings window and the file explorer turn anything but blinding white. At this point I just don't know what's going on with this. It seems sometimes that their strategy is not what I expected, that the developers possibly aren't aiming to create a universal dark mode, but rather seem to be spending a lot of time making individual apps and even individual websites have a dark mode. I mean, just this year, the Google search engine got a dark mode, so you can go into settings and make the search pages dark. But it's like, I'm just surprised that that's the approach we seem to be taking. Each individual website is getting its own dark mode rather than just an intelligent universal dark mode. I don't know. But anyway, no dark mode, and I feel kind of less confident about one arriving next year. No, that's not true. They've got to do something for the settings window and the file manager that is not behind flags. You just click it, it goes dark. It's got to happen. It's happening next year. Now, another thing I wanted to see this year was some weird hardware, and by that I meant any kind of new experimental device form factors. This didn't really pan out, although slightly it did. We did get, I believe, the first 17-inch Chromebook, which, according to reviews, was decent. So that's something, you know. I don't want a 17-inch laptop, but, you know, again, I'm glad they're exploring options like that. And apart from that, I can't think of anything else that was really that interesting or different or groundbreaking. I mean, we got Lenovo's recent laptop with, I think that was the first OLED screen in it's a tablet, sorry, the Lenovo's Duet 5 tablet. That's, I think, the first OLED screen on a Chromebook, as far as I'm aware. So that's something as well, but, you know, we didn't exactly get a Chrome OS phone or a foldable Chrome OS device or anything like that. Another thing I hoped for is some heavyweight cloud apps, just more advanced, more professional cloud programs that become more ubiquitous in daily use. And unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, nothing that exciting has progressed on that front. So I also thought there'd be a new Pixelbook this year. I did the maths, I did some, you know, drawing on the whiteboard, putting it all together, calculations, and I thought this is the year for the Pixelbook 2 probably to come out, but no, none of that. Though we did get a little tease of a possible future Pixelbook, which links to my last hope that I had at the start of the year, which was a Chromebook processor developed in-house by Google. And we didn't get that, but we did get promised that, basically. I mean, Google made their new chip for the Pixel 6 phones, and along with that they did announce that they'll be working on a version of that chip for Chromebooks releasing 2023. So that's at least nice to know that that's happening, and that will probably, we would all assume, coincide with a new Pixelbook. So we can expect 2023, a new Pixelbook with Google's Tensor chip, which, you know, disappointing that nothing for this year, nothing for 2022 in that department, but I think it'll be worth it in 2023. I think there's a lot of promise to come from that. So did any of the things I hoped for happen? No, not really. Let's look at this from a couple of other angles. One is, did Chromebooks sell well? And my understanding is that they did sell well. Not as well as 2020, but 2020 was, 2020, and you've got to expect it to come down after the strangeness of that year. And I believe Chromebooks are still just, very popular. The other thing is, and this is quite subjective, but I think Chromebooks continue to become more and more commonplace. I see more and more articles where, well, here's an example. I was just reading an article on some tech website the other day, and it said something about you could do whatever it was talking about on your laptop, your Chromebook, or your PC. Like, Chromebook has become this whole other category, which everybody kind of understands. It's become a more colloquial, understood term. Which I think is good for the Chromebook brand, but I'm not going to get too excited about that really, because as a Chromebook user, I don't think they need more popularity and more sales. I think they need a little bit more focused development, a little bit more knuckling down on exactly what we want to progress in this software, about integrating Linux more, if that's the plan, about keeping the operating system as advanced as possible, while also, of course, as elegant and kind of simple to use as possible. I think that made sense. Essentially, I'm just saying I think Chromebooks are popular enough in the world. I think that's been proven. They're selling amazingly. I know they sell more than MacBooks, I believe. So there you go. So yeah, as you can tell, I kind of think that the software development side of Chrome OS this year has been kind of slow, but there have been a couple new features. I think this year is when we got the tote thing, which I'm still trying to learn how to use the tote in a productive way, but it's something cool and interesting. There was also some more Android phone connection, integration, development, and some good work on virtual desktops, another feature which I think I should use more than I do, but I still haven't worked out how to integrate it into how I use computers. And then there's some things which we know have been worked on and developing, but unfortunately haven't released yet. One of them is Lacrosse, which is splitting up the Chrome browser from the Chrome operating system. This looks like it's coming very soon. It's behind a flag on Chrome OS 96 now, I think. But I don't think this is really a very exciting feature. I mean, if it is done well, then I think most users should not even notice that it's happened. But I think there are positives that could come from it in the future in terms of, I think there are ostensibly ways it's going to streamline the update process for Chrome OS and possibly could extend the life of Chromebooks a bit, since if you stop getting Chrome OS updates, at least you're still having the latest Chrome browser. But we'll see when it happens. The other thing that seems like it almost came this year but didn't quite make it is Borealis, which is this way of running Steam on your Chromebook, which people will actually want to do, unlike the ways that you can currently run Steam on your Chromebook, which aren't much fun. This really seems like it was scheduled for September, October, maybe November this year, but fell behind a bit. So hopefully early in 2022, because I think that will be pretty cool and something new and a nice, expansion of the Linux integration on Chrome OS. And I think it's going to make a lot of people pretty excited about the potential of that kind of development. But that's about it as far as I'm concerned. A lot of things seem to be happening behind the scenes, hopefully, but not a lot of them hitting our computers just yet. Speaking of our computers, some new models of Chromebooks came out this year. A lot of them seem good, good models, but nothing too exciting. A lot of them were iterations on previous models. Asus and Acer did good updates to their most popular devices, and Lenovo too, of course. So a decent year for new devices, though I must say not an amazing year for fanless devices. And some of you may know, fanless Chromebooks are my favorite Chromebooks. I think that's the way to go in the future for Chromebooks. And we had a lot of good fanned Chromebooks come out this year, but only a very small handful of fanless 11th gen Chromebooks. It seems a lot of the fanless Intel-based Chromebooks are just skipping 11th gen. Hopefully we'll get more in 12th gen next year. One more thing that's worth mentioning is the stability of Chrome OS this year. which was a little bit touch and go a few times. Several Chrome OS releases this year were sent out and then pulled back by Google because issues were found, and some updates were delayed quite heavily, and there were a couple times when there were pretty significant bugs affecting a lot of Chromebooks, and it got some people, understandably, a little bit worked up. And I think that was a bit of an issue this year. It wasn't a great year for Chrome OS stability. I wonder if any of that is because this year they changed from I think it was a 6-week update schedule down to a 4-week, basically monthly update schedule. But I don't know why that should have made things go so awry. I mean, sounds to me like a self-imposed deadline that surely they could have worked around. Anyhow, I don't know the reasons, but that's the fact. Chrome OS I've always liked, partly because it does seem more stable to me than Windows most of the time. And I think that's largely because it's just trying to do less. It's got less ridiculous long lists of processes happening in the background than Windows does. But this year, I don't feel like there's a lot to brag about in terms of Chrome OS stability. So I think that covers all the main areas of 2021 in Chromebook land. As you're probably getting a sense of, my personal perspective is that no, it wasn't really a good year for Chromebooks, which, you know, is fine. They can have a bad year, an off year, a break year, and I have a bit of confidence that next year could be more exciting. I am very keen to see what new devices are announced at CES in just about a week's time. I'm very keen to try Borealis when a version of it releases, hopefully in the next few months. And generally, I think that about covers my thoughts. I'm really interested what you think as well. Do you see it the same way as me, or do you have a bit more of a positive or a bit more of a negative view on how Chromebooks have done this year? Essentially, though, when it comes down to it, this year I've used Chromebooks a hell of a lot for all computing tasks, and overall I've enjoyed my time using them and they've worked for me. So I guess really that's the most important thing. I've just been enjoying using Chromebooks just about as much as previous years. So let me know what you think, and have a happy new year. That wasn't meant to be a question. Have a happy new year. Do it. See ya.